How much does genetics play a role in it? If I wanted to create just muscular, dense, big legs, what would your advice be? What do you do for recovery? What common mistakes do you see people make when it comes to eating healthy? So Frank, you're three-time Mr. Olympia, Muscle and Fitness said that you had the best physique ever. You beat Arnold Schwarzenegger in a bodybuilding contest. And today you are 80 years young. And so I've got to ask, Frank Zane, what are you excited about these days?
I take everything in stride. I've lived a pretty peaceful life. I have a nice home gym, 600 square feet with everything in it. And I train clients from all over the world. One of my hobbies is archery. I shoot, a few times a week.
Mm,
And that's about it.
archery, that's cool. Okay, when did you pick that up? Is that something you grew up with?
A long time ago, I was maybe 14 years old when I started. I was a counselor at a Boy Scout camp, archery instructor. And I've done it more or less, right along archery, field archery.
Okay. Okay. Have you read the book, I think it's Zen, in the Art of Archery?
Yes, a long time ago I read that book.
Yeah, I know you're a very aligned and meditative person, so I want to get into that a little bit later. What I love about you is you're so well-rounded, just a full human being. You know, you've got the spiritual side, which I feel like you've developed or tuned into, the physical side, which obviously, nobody can really ever compete with. I think you've probably had the best physique ever, and the mental side too, right? You're also an academic. I know you've got a master's degree in experimental psychology from Cal State University, and so I want to ask you, with your scientific background, do you think bodybuilders live longer or shorter lives than average?
Well, from what I've learned from research, I think they live a bit longer than the average person. It's into their 70s. So, I think they're doing a pretty good job as to longevity.
Okay, because I know you hear about all the stories of a lot of the bodybuilders, dying young, having the heart issues, which obviously could be because of anabolics, performance enhancing drugs.
Could be due to abuse. You never know.
Mm,
But I think, from what I've read, they seem to live a bit longer than the average person.
mm. What do you attribute, I guess, your long life to?
What I would attribute to it, I guess, overall, balanced lifestyle. I eat a good diet. I meditate. I reduce stress in my life.
Mm.
I get enough sleep. I try to do everything to the best of my ability.
You have a pet too, and you're still married, right?
Yeah, been married 55 years now.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm obsessed with not just lifespan, but health span, and longevity, and just what makes a person live longer. So I've done a ton of research in these topics, and I know that those two things, having a pet and also having a partner, can add years to your life.
Seems to be, you know, we've always said, well, not always, but we've had dogs for quite a while. And we have a little dog right now, Betty. And, you know, she's a good little dog. And because it's fun.
Betty, is she a rescue or
Well, yeah, we got her from the animal shelter.
okay?
She's,
Nice.
I think, 5 years old now.
Yeah, dogs are amazing. I grew up with dogs. I had 8 dogs at one point growing up. We bred mastiffs, so big dogs. So it was a lot of big poop that I had to clean up. but but they were a lot of fun. Frank, is there any advice that you would give the younger version of yourself?
Well, what comes to mind immediately is don't go to extremes. Don't try to take shortcuts in anything. Just remember that you should take your time and do a good job at whatever you do. There's no rush. There are no deadlines. like building your physique, you have your whole life to do that. So, do a good job, do the best you can at whatever you do.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, so many people take shortcuts and it just doesn't get them to where they want to go in the long run. But I think if you just chip away little by little and stay consistent, you'll get there and stay there.
I think there's good advice in Buddhism. They're like the Eightfold Noble Truth. The
Mm,
first 3 points are right thought, right
mm,
speech, right action. Think
mm,
the right thoughts, say the right words, and do
mm,
the right things.
mm,
And there's part of that is right speech.
mm.
Don't use speech like what I call negative body metaphors. Don't express your negative feelings through your body. Don't say things like, that's a pain in the neck.
Mm,
Get off my back. I
mm.
can't stand that, because I think excessive use of phrases like that tend to lead to ailments in those areas.
The words have power.
Yeah, part of being mindful.
Yeah, I actually was reading that in your book. You give all of
All
these
in there.
the self-talk. Oh, it's amazing. This the Zane bodybuilding manual is this is a gem. This is I've had it for a few years. I've got both. Got the midlife as well. It's a gem. But yeah, self-talk. They say be careful what you say to yourself. You're listening.
Your body hears every word you say.
Your body hears every word you say. That's it. And speaking of the body, let's talk about this world and how actually this world and also the world that I think you lived in is very body centric. And there's this term that I guess emerged in psychology, a few decades ago called body dysmorphia. I was reading an interview from Arnold, and he said that he would look in the mirror and say, I don't know how this SHIT body could win anything. Frank, have you ever faced body dysmorphia?
Not that I can remember. I mean, in general, I always wanted to do more with my physique. And so I would look at areas that I felt could develop more, and then I would focus on that. And the goal was to have everything developed as much as possible. And that's what I've always done. I've taken a lot of photographs, and then I would study what I looked like in the photographs. I wanted to learn what I looked like to other people.
Mm, mm. Is there any advice? Because I know I've faced it. I remember, I was never obviously never on your level, but I lifted a few weights. I never did a competition, but I remember every mirror I walked past, I had to flex. I had to see if, do I have a pump? Is my, and it can get a bit much. It can get a bit obsessive. Is there any advice that you would give someone since you've never had it? Is there any advice you would give someone who has these image issues?
Carry on. It may be something you're going through at the time.
Mm,
Don't let it overwhelm you. Don't let it alienate you from other people.
mm, mm,
Don't be stuck on yourself.
mm,
Realize there's other people out there and the effect you're having on them. Be a
mm.
good role model, all of those things.
How do you identify? Do you identify as the body, or do you feel there's something more as of what you are and who you are?
Well, the bottom line is I don't know. So I guess I identify with all of it. I'm a body, but I'm more than that.
Mm,
Exactly how much more, I don't know. It's being revealed to me all the time.
mm,
I pay attention to my dreams, what comes through in my dreams. There are
mm.
messages that I don't readily see right away. I ask myself, what's that dream trying to tell me?
Spirituality is something that I feel like I value probably more than anything else. And I think spirituality is something that's few and far between in bodybuilding. I know Dorian Yates, he's at least in the mainstream, I know he's talked about his experiences with plant medicine and like ayahuasca, how it just totally changed his life. I've seen you wear a shirt that says "Enlighten Up." Also, in your book, you're a big fan of Gurdjieff. You practice pranayama. Frank, what does spirituality mean to you, and how has it helped your life?
Well, it's largely the practice of meditation, which means being able to empty my mind. And that leaves room for anything that's uplifted. Uh, if I have any kind of preconceptions, I want to let those go away so I have room for inspiration.
Are there any techniques that you have kind of tried and tested, like mantras or self-talk? I know in your book you mentioned gazing and visualization. Can you give us any techniques that you feel like have been helpful for your life?
Well, I have several mantras that I say silently to myself
Mhm.
as part of my meditation. And the meditation always starts with that. Like I wear these beads,
Mm,
and every time I say the mantra, I advance a bead.
mm,
I do that initially, and then it gets established, and then I just go with whatever is there.
mm,
Then eventually there's nothing there, and I'm in a vast state of emptiness.
mm.
And that's the state I want to be in.
Emptiness is form, form is emptiness.
Yes,
Is it the you had the beads? Is it the 108 beads on your wrist?
I have 108.
Okay.
Basically, I
Ah,
have this one here.
yep.
I don't use that one too much for meditation. I use the shorter ones,
Okay.
and that's only initially. I don't keep doing it for, I just use it to get started in my meditation.
Okay. You do you still meditate every day?
Yes,
You do it in the
every
morning?
morning,
In the morning. Okay.
morning, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
then if I'm walking, I'll say a mantra, usually with every step.
Mm,
The whole purpose is to crowd out negative thinking. I don't want to dwell on anything negative,
mm.
anything like gossip or negative thoughts or, discouraging thoughts or saying negative things about other people, looking for positive things to dwell on.
It's great. Your attention is focused more so on the positive. I think and I don't know if you would agree with this, but do you feel like the human brain is naturally negative? Is that its natural state? We look towards what's wrong as opposed to what's right. We have kind of a fault finding mind.
I don't think so. I think the brain is neutral. And I think we put we put in there whatever is important to us, whatever we're trained to believe, have come to believe. So it's all up to us. We have the choice to do what we want with our mind.
You would agree that the media though it leans heavily negative and social media. So how does
Yes,
somebody
yes.
how do we I guess, fortify ourselves from that? Is it practicing the meditation? Is it turning everything off, getting off of social media, never watching the news?
Well, I watch the news. I like to know what's going on, but I don't identify with it. I don't say I to it. I don't say that's me.
Okay, okay. Hmm. Have you been to India?
Never.
Never? Okay. No interest, or you just never got around?
Well, I'm interested, but I just haven't had an opportunity to go to India.
Okay,
I've been a lot of other places. I've been to Japan,
okay.
Malaysia, all over Europe, Australia, South Africa. Not too much lately. I'm pretty much a homebody these days, but I
Yeah,
have done a lot of traveling in the past.
got you. Got you. Yeah, I think you love India. I've been there several times. I've spoken at the International Yoga Festival there a few times. So if you're ever interested in going, I'm sure I can make that happen. If the desire arises within, let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Let's go back to bodybuilding a little bit. There's a lot of debate about okay, what's the best diet? And I'd love for you to let me know what's your perspective on things, the ketogenic diet, the vegan diet, things like that. What in relation to bodybuilding? What's your perspective?
I think, well, for me anyway, it's to get enough protein. And that's 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So I always strive to do that. And the best quality protein is from, high quality proteins like eggs, dairy products, and lean meats, fish, poultry, even beef. And so I think a balanced diet is what's called for. And cleaning up the diet, avoiding junk food, eliminating refined carbohydrates, keeping alcohol at a minimum, and just eating healthy.
Mm. What common mistakes do you see people make when it comes to eating healthy? Where do you see people get stuck at?
Well, maybe eating the wrong foods or eating too fast, eating too much fast food.
Mm. I've become good friends with Robbie Robinson, and he told me that he doesn't drink during his meals. Drink water, right? He drinks like a certain time before and then after. What do you think about that? Do you drink water during your meals?
I don't drink a lot of water, but I maybe take sips if my
Okay.
mouth is dry.
Okay.
But I have a great deal of respect for Robbie. He's a great champion,
Mm.
and he's been around a long time. And he's got a tremendous physique, and he's still working out hard into
Yeah.
his 70s. So he
Yeah.
deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the man. He's supposed to come out here to Portugal with me, and we're gonna train and maybe have like an event where we invite people.
Good.
Yeah, he's great. He's taught me so many things about just training in Gold's Gym in Venice. So we talked about food. What about supplements? Because I've read some places that you said that you've taken what is upwards to 400 supplements a day.
I have in the past. I've taken even more than that. I've taken the main thing I take is amino acids in free form. I take 20 or 30 capsules a day. And in the past, I've taken way more than that. I think that's important because they're concentrated foods. It's what foods become like amino acids. Basically, proteins break down into their most basic form, which is amino acids. So if you take them in free form, you have what they become. You save a lot of energy. You have what's the nutrient itself without the calories. And I've done that for quite some time now.
Do you do the branch chain amino acids or the essential aminos?
I take them all.
Okay.
I take a formula that has 16 amino acids.
Ah, okay. Okay. You think that's a big reason for your success, not only in competition, but also in just overall health?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. What other supplements do you feel were very beneficial for you in your during competitions?
I think liquid liver extract. There's a compound out called energizing iron, which is put out by enzymatic therapy that I've taken for a long time.
Mm.
It's like liver that has been concentrated 20 times. And there's a lot of really good nutrition in that. I've always take a few of those every day. And then, of course, the amino acids in free form. And then especially larger amounts of glutamine, arginine, and then at night tryptophan, and then melatonin too, before I go to bed.
So you're not doing the 400 anymore. You're kind of sticking with the about what is it about 10?
Maybe more than that. I might take about 20 to 30 capsules a day.
Okay. Wow. Have you heard of a guy named Brian Johnson?
Oh, no.
So Brian Johnson, he was I'd love to have a conversation with him, but he was a tech entrepreneur, sold his company for a few $100 million, and now he's the most what is it, the most studied human being I think of all time. Like he measures everything. He takes about, a few like you, he takes about a few hundred supplements every day. In his quest is to reverse his aging. So he, I wasn't sure if you're familiar with him, but he's into it as well. If you ever want to kind of look into his work, he takes the amino acids, but he also does cinnamon. I know I looked at his list. It's an incredible list. But yeah, and he works out pretty much every other day, and it looks like he's working because apparently his genetic profile is like 5 years younger than his biological age.
I think it's good, but I don't think you could ever reverse aging. I think it's going to proceed onward anyway, but I think you can slow it down, but I don't think you could ever reverse it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You'd have people who never died if that were true.
Yeah. You ever heard of what is it, breatharians?
No.
No? So breatharians apparently are Um, they're in India. Maybe they're everywhere on the earth, but basically, instead of food, they derive their energy from sunlight or the breath, the prana. Apparently, some have been claimed to live over a few hundred years. I don't know if it's been verified. There was one show I saw that you could probably look up on YouTube where they studied this guy, and he was in his, I don't know, 70s, I think. And they studied him for like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and he didn't eat anything, which was incredible. And he was totally fine. So whether it's, I don't know, I'd love to see a year-long study on that. I know the humans are we're capable of incredible things, but no food. I'm not sure about that one.
I think the body's sort of feeding on itself to some degree.
Mm, mm,
I mean, I don't know, but I think it's noble that he's involved in that,
mm.
but I don't think it's something that everybody could do or would want to do.
Yeah.
Certainly, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy food. I enjoy my meals. Listen, Frank, while I got you here, I want to ask you a question that I feel like a lot of guys can relate to. It's leg development. So, I've trained for, over 10 years, and my legs, they're strong, they're lean, but they don't get bigger. What's your advice if I wanted to create just muscular, dense, big legs? What would your advice be?
Get as much blood into your legs, your thighs as possible. You might try doing something like leg extensions supersetted with leg press or leg extensions supersetted with squatting. Just get a tremendous pump in your thighs when you work them.
Okay.
Get as much blood in there as you possibly can.
Okay.
And that's all you can do. Then see what happens.
Okay.
And give them a good rest. Train them maybe twice a week. You don't have to train them more than that.
Mm,
Let them recover. Work up and weight on every set. The thing is, experiment and see how it's working. There's no
mm.
set answer for everybody. So just see how it's going for you.
You think I need to eat more?
It would help if you want to grow.
Okay. I was reading somewhere you had said that you had ran 6 laps. I think it was 1979 around a high school track, and your legs got good doing that. Is that something you would advise as well?
Well, I think it was very good for me. That's like a mile and a half. I think any more than that, you could maybe not get the muscular benefit from it. But my legs got
Mm,
much more muscular doing that. I think you
okay.
could run too much. Like if you're running like 5 miles a day, I think you're not going to grow from that. You're going to
Mhm,
get more endurance and maybe more definition, but you're not going to grow any
mhm.
muscle. So you have to find the
Okay.
right balance for you on that, just whatever that happens
Okay.
to be.
And when I do the leg workout, because I just wrote everything you said down, get as much blood in the muscle as possible. I've done I've done the flex wheeler, like what is it, like start with leg extensions and then go to leg press. But the superset I've never actually done the leg extensions to the leg press. I do supersets with leg press with sumo squats. Actually, I do like a tricep, almost like what is it, like 40 or 50 repetitions, if you add every set up. But yeah, just the size is the big thing for me. My legs just don't want to grow. I don't know. How much does genetics play a role in it? Or is that just an excuse people like to make?
Of course, it plays a role, but we don't know to what extent. And the question always is how do you know it's not working? How do you know what's going on? You have to find a good way to ascertain that. And the best way is to take photos. If you can see a difference in the photos, you know something's happening there. So I always took photos or had photos taken when I was trying to achieve something. It's impossible to grow and get more definition at the same time. It's usually one or the other.
Got it. Did you take photos without a pump or during the workout?
Not so much during a workout. For legs, it basically, I always showed more definition in my legs when they weren't pumped up. Other
Oh,
areas, I could maybe look a little bit more impressive. if I had some kind of pump there. But
Mm,
with thighs especially, if I got a great pump in my thighs, I would lose definition. So I never
mm.
pumped up my legs for photos.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Huh. I'll do that. Superset extensions, and I don't have to go heavy, right? How many repetitions would you say is the 8 to 12?
10, yeah, 8 to 12, 10 to 12.
Okay. Okay.
Do
Um,
slow negatives too. Don't let the weight fall back real fast.
you're talking time under tension. Is there a certain cadence on the eccentric you would recommend?
Maybe letting the weight back to start should be up to twice as slow as the positive. But they both work.
Okay.
Like if you watch Arnold training, he doesn't do that. Everything is fast with him.
Huh.
That works too.
Huh. I guess is it more so about, and this is something Robbie always tells me, is it more so, and I guess Arnold said it too, but just focusing your mind on the muscle that you're training?
Yeah, everything works if you let it. That's the lyric from a Meatloaf song. Remember the rock and roll artist Meatloaf?
Mhm.
Everything
Mhm.
works if you let it was his mantra. You just have to do it and
Wow.
let it work. It's going to work in some
Wow.
some fashion. You just have to find the way you want it to work. I think one of the things about doing your reps is make your reps rhythmic. Rhythmic, have rhythm to them. Slow negatives work, faster negatives work, but it all depends on the rhythm of them. The other thing is
Okay.
stretching between sets. Right after I
Okay.
do a set, I always stretch for maybe 15 seconds. Gets more blood
Huh.
into the area, increases flexibility.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading a study that said a deep calf stretch can actually grow the calves like as much as doing like actual calf raises could.
I would say no to that. I'd say a combination of doing the weight work and stretching is the best approach to that. Not just stretching. You need some resistance.
You need some, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, Frank, I want to play a game with you. And this game I call the five bests, right? The five bests. And so I'm just going to ask you the first one. Okay. When was the best time in your life?
Well, physically, it was 1979 when I won Olympia for the third time. I was in probably my best shape ever. I was 190 pounds, in great shape, had won the Olympia for the third time. And that was the peak of my career. Of course, you don't realize it at the moment. It would have been okay if I retired at that point, but I, really wanted more. I wanted to win it a fourth time. And then in 1983, I kept competing after that. And then in 1983, I got fourth place. And at that time, I said to myself, there's my four. So you never know ahead of time. We're only
Wow.
smart in retrospect.
Mm,
We don't know what if it's the thing we were after when it happens. We only know as
mm,
we look back on it. And everything is like
mm,
that. So
wow.
learn to be happy with what you're achieving. And don't
Yeah.
be too hard on yourself. Don't judge too harshly because the truth of the matter is you just don't know.
Mm,
Be okay with that. You don't know, you want to find out, that's fine. That's motivation.
mm, mm. Love that. What's the best quote you ever heard?
This one's attributed to the Buddha is our lives are shaped by our mind. We become what we think.
Mm, mm,
So whatever we think about most of the time is what we're destined to become.
mm.
It starts with your mind.
Wow. What's the best advice you ever got?
Persevere in what you're doing.
Mm,
Good things don't happen automatically. Be patient. Don't talk negatively about other people or yourself or your body.
mm,
Just be open to it.
mm.
Be a good observer.
Good witness.
Witness, yeah. Be a good observer.
Mm,
What's life trying to tell you?
What do you think it's all about? You said, what's life trying to tell you, Frank? What do you think it's all about?
Be patient.
Mm,
Learn
mm,
from what's happening.
mm,
Help other people.
mm.
You know, I've been a teacher for a long time. I
Right.
taught school for 13 years. You
Mm.
know, if you have knowledge and information, pass it along.
Frank, what's the best, and maybe this is a tough one to answer, but what's the best bodybuilding split?
Well, I've always, there's two I use. One is the three-way split.
Mm,
And what I did was pulling muscles day one, legs day two, pushing muscles day three. So day one would be back, biceps, and forearms. Day two would be legs. I'd give pulling muscles a rest. And day three would be pushing muscles, chest, shoulders, and triceps. And then I'd rest day
mm,
four. That's the 4-day cycle. And that's the one I've used most of the time. And it's very productive, what I've used for, advanced training. The other one is the two-way split, which would be upper body one day, legs and abdominals the other day, and then rest the third day. And I've used both of those. The thing is, you've got to rest muscles after you've worked them. So you got
mm.
to fit the rest in there somewhere.
Yeah, something that I always learned, or always knew, I guess, was you don't grow in the gym, right? You break down. And
Right.
so if your recovery is trash, you're not gonna actually grow.
No.
What do you do for recovery?
Sleep, meditate, relax, get my mind off everything.
Did you ever integrate saunas or massages?
Well, I used to take saunas when I had one in Palm Springs. We had a sauna, and I used to take saunas on a regular basis. I had a system where I would go into the sauna extremely hot, and like up to 190 degrees, and then after that, just jump into the pool. And I would do that 3 times, and I was very relaxed after that. That worked well, but I don't have access to that now. Massage, I think, is great, but then you I have to have a good masseur, and I did at points,
Yeah.
but I don't have that anymore. So
Mm.
basically, I think learning to that's sort of a mantra I have is let go of all the remaining tension in the muscles. Focus on the muscle, and then just feel all the tension draining out of it. Let the mind take over and do that.
Wow. That's great. When would you do that? At night?
At different times during the day in my meditation, I would do it in the morning.
Okay.
At night, I would do it.
Okay. I just felt like a relaxation when you I was thinking about my bicep and let go of all the tension, and it just like, wow, it works.
It does.
That's great.
Your mind is very powerful. Whatever you say is basically true. Your body believes every word you say and also everything you think.
Wow.
So work accordingly to that.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. Do you have any like self-talk mantras that because when you asked me when we first started this conversation, you said, "How am I?" And I said, "Better and better." And better is comes from a French psychologist named Emile Coué, and he said he had a mantra that healed patients with both physical and mental ailments better than anything else, and that was in every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better. Is there
A good
anything that
one.
you? Yeah, yeah, it's a great one. Do you have anything like that?
The one I've used the most is called the Nembutsu, which means the name of the Buddha. And basically, in Japanese, it's Namu Amida Butsu. I've said
Hmm.
that a lot.
Mm,
Namu means I take refuge in. Amida is the primordial Buddha, and Butsu means Buddha. So I take
mm,
refuge in the concept of the Buddha.
mm,
What
mm,
is the Buddha? Basically, it's the idea of thinking the right thing, saying the right words, and then doing the right things.
mm.
And
Love that.
that's the way to live.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, Buddhism really figured it out. I love when the he's in some hot he's on the hot seat, I guess, these days. But the Dalai Lama, when he was asked what is Buddhism, he said Buddhism is not a religion, it's a science of the mind. Right? It's not a religion, it's a sign. I absolutely love that. He said if science ever disagreed with Buddhism, then we'd have to rethink Buddhism. One of my favorite stories is from the Buddha when he was interviewed by a reporter. The reporter, you probably know this one. The reporter came up to him and asked him, "Sir, are you a priest?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Sir, are you a god?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Sir, well, what are you?" He says, "I am awake."
Yeah.
But I think it actually translates to awareness. It says, "I am awareness." Mm, one of my favorites. It's just the Buddhist perspective is so powerful. If we can come back to a state of awareness, um, every single ailment of society heals itself when we can just recognize that we are this pure awareness.
Yes.
Racism goes away, sexism goes away, all
They're
the
all just
political
ideas.
nonsense
They're
all
just
just ideas.
ideas.
Yep. Yep. Mm,
What do we
concepts.
know for sure?
Um,
Basically, we don't know shit.
mm.
We don't. You gotta
Wow.
realize that.
Mm,
Be empty and open and you'll learn things. Don't prejudge.
that's it. The last best question was, what's the best investment you ever made, Frank?
Well, probably buying a house because, you need a place to live
Mm,
and it's only going to go up in value. Like this, where we're living now, it's great. It's everything that I needed in a property. And we've been here 25 years and we bought it. It was like somewhere low 300,000s and now it's worth over $1 million. And all property is like that, if it's in the right place and it has everything you want. But then, I've no interest in selling it because everything is here that we need. We want.
yeah.
And other properties I've have are like that too, like in Santa Monica. Property we had over there is now worth even more than that. So if we would have
Mm,
stayed there,
wow.
it would have been more. But, at the time, you don't know. You have other ideas.
Yeah, as I live in this world as well, there's so many investment opportunities from cryptocurrency, and you want to pick the best stock, but real estate, I think is
Can't go wrong
it's
with
just
that.
so solid. You really can't, not in the long run.
There's only so much of it.
Mm, exactly, exactly. Frank, the last question that I ask every guest is what I call the magic wand question. So I say, if I gave you a magic wand and you could wave this magic wand at the world, and tomorrow when you woke up, whatever wish that you made with the magic wand would be granted, what would your magic wand wish be?
Stop arguing and fighting.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
I forget who said this, but he said, "Why can't we all just get along?"
Yeah, yeah, it was Rodney King.
Yeah, right. Why
Yeah,
can't we all just get along?
yeah,
Get along.
yeah. Comes down to that.
Don't see people as their differences. See people as what you have in common with them.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Ram Dass, he talked all about polishing the mirror. You got to polish your mirror of limitations, of judgment, so that you could see the world and other people and yourself as it truly is, clearly. And it's
Yes.
so important. So important. Well, Frank, this was such a pleasure, an honor. You have inspired me in more ways than I've been able to express. You will continue to inspire me because I see you every time I'm in my gym.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll happen, but I'd love to. I don't. Are you still doing sessions as far as training?
Oh, yes. I continue to
Yeah.
do that.
Okay. Well, I'd love to. I'd love to stay in touch, and maybe we could do a training session or something like that in the future.
Great. Just let me know and we'll do it.
Perfect. Sounds awesome. Frank Zane, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate all the wisdom. Thank you for being on Sauna Sessions.
My pleasure. Keep up the good work.